All right. Well, Cliff, it's a pleasure to finally talk to you. Just give me a quick rundown where you're from and what you do.
My name is Cliff Roop, and I teach grades 2 through 6 physical education at Blackhawk Christian School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I've been here over 25 years. I'll just say it that way. I love it. It's a great place to work. I got a lot of great colleagues, and I just totally enjoy working with kids. I did a stint for a little while doing part-time IT work for our school, and our school was growing a little bit, and so there came the time to choose whether or not to increase my computer tech assistance or jump further back into the classroom. And I said, oh, by all means, I want to go back in the classroom more and more and more. So now I have 3 sections of grades 2 through 6. Yeah, it's a blast. I love it.
So you started in IT. That's what was some of the IT stuff that you used to do for the school?
My whole career I've been in physical education, but because I don't want to say I'm computer savvy, but I knew enough to maybe be a little dangerous. And our school was growing in its use of technology. And one summer I was we had our daughter the summer before, and so that whole summer I spent my wife and I spent getting to know our little girl and just enjoying fatherhood and parenthood that first summer. And then I went through that whole school year. My daughter was then a year old the next summer. And within a week of me being at home on vacation, my wife said, you need to go do something out of the house because you're messing with my routine. And she didn't say it mean or anything, but it was just like, you got to go do something. Because my daughter was just like, daddy, 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 all the time. She's just like, oh, you got to, And so I went to my school and I was wandering around the school just like, I don't know what to do. And our computer tech person was in the computer lab re-imaging a lot of the computers. And I said, can I help with anything? Because I just got kicked out. and so he's like, oh, yeah, and so I started working with him. And that was the beginning of me working part-time IT support. He asked if I would be just kind of available for teachers in the building. Like if they just had like a quick tech question, could I just maybe if it was easy enough to just answer. And I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And so that grew into like an actual part-time position where I was half-time teaching, half-time tech. And when our school was growing, I still like tech. I still like doing it. But the thought of expanding my tech job or expanding teaching, I was just like, I don't want to expand my tech job. I don't want to lose my connection with the kids at all. And so I asked my administration, I said, like, I know we're growing in one way, but here's where I'd like to go. I'm just making sure you guys understand that. And they just took me out of tech completely. And so now I'm full-time teaching again, which, like I said, I love.
Rarely have I come across somebody who actually enjoys dealing with the like the ins and outs of tech so much that they would like IT. Like I certainly, I have, a desktop that I built and stuff like that. But, were you into like the wiring and that kind of thing? Like, is that kind of the IT? Are you talking more software?
It was all kinds of things. We're a small Christian school. And so we have, they were starting to do things like MacBooks, one-to-one MacBooks for the high school kids. And then they were also trying to introduce some iPads, and then the teachers had their own desktop computer. And we also had smart boards. And so there was a lot of hardware to mess with, but then there was also a lot of software. And over the summertime, I would also help run wiring in the ceilings. I saw parts of our building I don't think anyone's ever seen before.
The deep dark tunnels.
Yeah, very dirty, dusty above those ceiling tiles. It's nasty up there. So yeah, it was a good time.
That's super interesting.
And I wouldn't say I loved it so much. Like I don't think I could do it full time. Like I need like my interactions with the kids. That was the lodestone that drew me back to say like, no, I'm definitely wanting to go in this direction.
so you guys kind of have standards, right? Like you have sort of points in where the kids are, where you're expecting that the kids are going to be at a certain grade level or a certain age group. Like there's certain physical, not necessarily requirements, but certain maybe standards that you would expect. Some teachers were seeing that some of the kids were behind because of what had been going on with COVID. Have you seen any of that, or not? Not really.
Yeah, I have. I'm not sure that we can lay it all at COVID's feet, though. I know that, yeah, being home, not being in the classroom, not being, socially active with friends as you're used to, all of that definitely had an impact on everybody in some way or another. Just everybody. And but I would say that while that was definitely a factor, I think it was happening before that. I have a connection with a sensory therapist, and she has talked about she's just booked solid with kids who are just either physically, developmentally, I don't want to say challenged, that's not the right word, but behind even. Right. I don't know, I'm struggling to come up with the right terminology that like accurately portrays what I'm trying to say. But there are a lot of challenges. There's physically, kids don't have the same core strength coming in. I don't think, they're not crawling around, climbing everything in sight, at least not everyone. I'm thinking of a kid right now who will climb any wall in our gym if there's a foothold or a handle.
There's always a few, right?
Yeah, and that's another side of the coin, is that there are some kids who are so off the charts with their impulsivity that they don't have the ability to kind of hone that down. And so we've got kids on both sides of that, where some are really weak in their balancing and strength and just ability to cope in that sense. Like the inner workings of their sensory systems, proprioceptors not able to like figure out where they are in space with everybody else, falling all the time, crashing into things, or even like spinning. Like some kids need to spin a lot to help them like center themselves. I can understand it, because like if I did that, I'd be on the floor.
Yeah, same.
But, yeah. And so I think there is a lot of that, but I think there's something else going on besides just being cooped up, because there were a lot of kids who, while they were out of school, they weren't cooped up. They were still able to be active and things like that. But I can't lay it all at video games, door either. Although, lots of kids are very sedentary for those reasons. But there's something developmentally going on. I think we're missing something somewhere. I'm trying to remember how many years ago it was. I think my Twitter anniversary popped up on its own, and I was kind of surprised. It feels like it's been longer, but I think I've been on for maybe 4 years, 3 or 4 years now. And the question to me, is all surrounded by Twitter, because it's Twitter that has connected me with fantastic educators, not just physical education teachers, but lots of deeper thinkers and other educational leaders. And I have had a great time connecting with so many great people.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, yeah. So when I joined Twitter, it was in this period of my educational teaching journey where I had been kind of on a downslide. I had been, I would say, negatively rejuvenated, if that makes sense. Something negative happened in my career, and it kind of propelled me to improve. And there's like lots of great encouragements that have helped me become a good teacher, but there was a thing in my career. It was just kind of a bad time in my career. I was at a low, but through that time, I was able to start meeting with my building principal and through her and another administrator, I got hooked up with some other phys ed teachers in our town. And that was the beginning of a journey to kind of reinvent myself as a teacher. And Twitter was one of those steps on that journey. And I joined a phys ed chat. Joey Fight is a teacher from Canada. He has a physical education website, and he was a person I was able to connect with on Twitter. Mike Graham in Illinois actually allowed me to come and visit his gym one day. And so between physical meets and meeting people on Twitter and just seeing what other people were doing was very exciting to me and very inspirational to me as well, and made me want to eventually become a teacher that could, like, maybe post some ideas or maybe write a blog that would, like, encourage people and help them become better as well. And so that's how all of that started. While the physical challenges that we're doing, like, we want to try to prepare them for their life, after school. Like, school, in my opinion, it's this one stop in their life. It's a big one and it's a long one, but it's still a stop in their life. And while I don't think they're going to be, using scooters in their everyday life, or helping people get across a raging river, I mean, maybe, but like,
what we had up here in New York this last weekend, you never know anymore.
Right. Yeah. But like them working with someone, trying to overcome a challenge and do it in such a way that makes it fun to work with that kid again next time. Or, like, I learned that I really need to I need to stop talking and let somebody else have an idea. Like, kids have learned, like, I'm the one who needs to be quiet. Other kids have learned I'm the one who has an idea and I need to be brave and share it. And so, like, those kinds of things are great in that situation and be encouraged. And then so they can go into the classroom and say, like, I got to do that. I got to share my idea and it worked. Or I was brave enough to share it. And so I feel more confident now in the classroom to maybe do that as well. Or maybe at home or in the neighborhood. And so, yeah, to me, that's what's so exciting about the cooperatives, is that is definitely going to be a skill that they take with them. Whether or not they use the physical skills, sometimes is beside the point. I want to teach those other skills through the physical activity, and it sticks better. Now, it all depends on the grade level. I think we just did one today from Justin Cahill. He's in Atlanta, and it's called Spaghetti and Meatballs. And the kids are basically trying to move pool noodles into a certain container plus a ball, and they have to do it with only their feet. And so there's a lot of core strength going on there, a lot of laughing, a lot of there's some mistakes going on, so they get to learn how to be gracious with each other when the mistake is made, if they drop something. So that's like a nice second grade level one. And then, like, we do, I adapted a Crack the Codes game from Ryan Ellis in England. And basically you blindfold a kid, and this is a good upper level. Some lower level kids could do it as well. But you blindfold a partner and you have to guide them with the sound of your voice to pick up certain objects or avoid certain objects. And again, it's all based on communication, being very clear in what you say, and also learning to listen to the right voice. We used it last couple of years ago before the lockdown. We haven't brought it back yet, but I hope to in January, where we talk about learning to filter out outside voices that are trying to get you to go in one direction or another that might not be best for you. And so while we're doing that physical activity, we have one person trying to guide you into the right way. Maybe, and I'll just, like, make the analogy, guide them into truth or whatever. And then I come alongside, and I don't do it right away. I let them have a chance to get the hang of it. But I start whispering false directions into the ear of the blindfolded student, just to see if they can filter me out and listen to their guide.
Wow.
just to see. And then we talk about, you're going to hear, all kinds of voices in the media today. You're going to hear all kinds of things on social media. You're going to hear things on movies, books, whatever. What are they telling you to do? What's the right thing to do? And so we talk about, how do we make decisions in the face of all these different voices coming at us?
So, you know, obviously, as I kind of mentioned, one of the things that's really fascinating about what you do on Twitter is kind of a blending so many different, fields of physical education and so many different, tools and utensils. So, what are some common equipment suggestions that you would suggest that all PE teachers have, or at least try to have access to? And if not these, maybe an alternative or two.
Yeah, well, pool noodles are amazing. You can do a lot of things with pool noodles. We also do some cooperatives with those, as far as like tossing and catching. And when they're all beat up, you can chop them up into pieces and use them for small manipulatives. So I think pool noodles are probably one of the biggest lately pieces of equipment I definitely tell someone to get. And Dollar Tree always has them, for a while anyway, until some of the phys ed teachers come in and clean them out.
For now, you just created a run on Dollar Tree pool noodles.
Yeah, it's been happening before. I've got some friends who they'll take the entire box out of the store, so high and dry. But any kind of, like, if you can get, we like to use the gator skin balls. We're not playing dodgeball or anything like that with them, but they're nice. They're just easy to grasp. And there's a couple different sizes. So like any kind of tossable ball, bean bags. If you can get your hands on scooters, they're a lot of fun, and there's great ways to, and whenever the kids use them, I mean, they're working on their core strength the whole time they're using them, and they don't even know it. And they're just having too much fun to realize it. Jump ropes, hula hoops, deck rings. Those are the kinds of things that I probably, if I could only have a few things, I'd choose those.
So, kind of the final question that I would have for you is, what's some advice that you can give PE teachers for creating sort of these original and engaging games with common gym items?
Well, I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is to know, first of all, what do you have available with you? Obviously, you have to know what you have or what you can get your hands on. We have a resale store in our town that has always been willing to give me things. So like I will go in and just see what they have, and as I look at it, if an idea comes to mind, or if there's something that I've been wanting to do, and if they have something that could go to that, they're always willing to donate. A lot of stores will give discounts to teachers as well. So if you have a need for something. But I would also say get to know your students and your surrounding community. There might be things that a lot of the kids in the neighborhood may be interested in, that you could maybe create a connection with your community. Maybe there's an instructor of something that could come in and help teach a unique activity to your class. Mine is challenging in that way. We have so many different kinds of students in our school that it's hard to hone it down, but I do try to reach out. There's some of it's sports and some of it's not. We're going to try to do some gymnastics if we can make it safe. There's a lot of gymnastics areas. Ninja courses are huge right now. A lot of kids, especially younger kids, really interested in that. So I would say, know your community, know your kids, and then you can see what you can try to focus on there. Something that's meaningful to them, something that they would enjoy doing, something that they would enjoy sharing with a kid outside of school, or maybe even become involved with after school on their own.
So I have to ask, what is a ninja course?
Oh, so have you seen American Ninja Warrior at all?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of gymnastics places, at least that I can tell, they have these things called ninja zones, or maybe they do it on their own. I think Ninja Zone is actually like a national type of program that you could apply in your program, where they have They'll have the walls that the kids can run up, the warped wall. They've got different pads that kids can like jump off of and do different tricks off of, swinging from the rings, all kinds of those things. And my son, I'll just say my son, he's almost 7. We did a 4-week ninja class, and he was completely drenched with sweat after each class and loved it, just loved it. He got to do all kinds of fun stuff. And it wore him out. It was great for me, but he just had a great time. And so now we're looking for another place to enroll him so we can continue that. It's just a great way to get the energy going. And I think, we miss a lot. We go back to that question about what's been missing. Climbing trees. Like when I was a kid, I climbed my house and I climbed a tree and we climbed everything. And I think the ninja classes are a fun way to get those kids using their body weight to strengthen themselves again.
Well, that is really cool. And I'm going to go look at what that is, because that sounds really awesome. And I kind of want to try one.
It's a lot of fun.
So do you have, so tell us how other teachers can either get in contact with you or how they can follow you. Do you have a website? Do you have a blog? Obviously, what's your Twitter handle? Are you on Instagram, etc.?
Basically just on Twitter at this point. I dabble in Facebook, but I'm not huge into it, so I'm not there a lot. But HD Phys Ed is my Twitter handle. It stands for High Definition Phys Ed. I want to make my physical education program like deeper. I want it to make it more meaningful, and so that name is a call out to me every time I think about it. In fact, a friend of mine made my logo for me and sent it to me. Very happy with that. I keep it on my desk as a reminder. His name's Matthew in Illinois, so thanks, Matt. And I do have a website with a blog on it. I've written some reflections and some ideas. I have a Crack the Code blog on there as well, talking about my experiences with that. And that is hdphysed.weebly.com. So if anyone wants